Hello, welcome to Lily de Silva, lesson 19, Pali to English translation exercises. Sentence number 1. Amaya manjusayam pakittam suvarnam darika ganhi. Ganhi did not take. Let me give you my iPad. We have, as I've explained before, this verb ganhati in Sanskrit grihnati. That's the Sanskrit, that's the Pali. And the aorist, third person singular aorist in Pali is simply ganhi, took. Naganhi, did not take. Darika naganhi, the girl did not take. Suvannam, so Darika Suvannam naganhi, the girl didn't take the gold. Which gold? The Manjusayam pakittam Suvannam, the gold. Pakittam, literally thrown down or thrown into. Manjusayam, the box. Now this verb pakitta, the original meaning was to throw forwards, but it means just to keep or put something somewhere. It's from the root, the Sanskrit root kship, literally meaning to throw. And in Sanskrit, the past participle is kshipta, which is kitta in Pali, and with prakshipta, of course, becomes pakitta. With the doubling of the K in the Pali, because the ksha becomes a k in Pali, but if it's preceded by a vowel, then that K is doubled to reflect the fact that there's a lost sh. So on its own, kitta, but prakshipta becomes pakitta with the doubled K. So manjusayam pakittam suvarnam, the gold that had been put in the box, the in the box put gold. By whom? Amaya. So by the mother, in the box put gold. The girl did not take. So the girl did not take the gold that had been put in the box, stored in the box by her mother, kept in the box. Number 2. Dhutani vatani gehetva bhariya udakamha uttari. So tarati, literally to cross. Uttarati, literally to cross out or to cross up. Very commonly, in fact, most commonly when you're talking about going into the water or coming out of the water, is like in uttarati, with avatarati, avatar, and crossing down. Uttarati, udakam uttarati, but udakamha with the ablative, so udakam uttarati with the accusative of motion, but udakamha ablative uttarati comes out, crosses up, out of the water. So udakamha uttari came out of the water, emerged from the water, stepped out of the water. Who did? Bharya, the wife. Bharya. Dhutani vatani gehetva. Now just as the aorist from Ganhati, third singular aorist, Ganhi, the absolutive having taken is gehetva. If you see this phrase here, dhutani vatani gehetva, literally dhutani, the washed vatani, the washed clothes, the clothes that had been washed. If you see an object with gehetva, somebody doing something, gehetva, a thing, that often means not so much having taken, just taking, or just sometimes just with. You know, if you see somebody with a stick in his hand, You see, dandang gehetva, having taken a stick. That's simply a way of saying he was going along with a stick in his hand. So here the wife is coming out of the water with the clothes that have been washed. So literally, the washed clothes having taken, the wife from the water out crosses or up crosses. So dhotani vatani gehetva bharya udakamha uttari. Number 3. Kasakehi uyane rupitesu rukhesu palani bhavimsu. So palani, fruit or fruits in the plural, bhavimsu were. You can have A bhavati, A, B bhavati, A is B, but sometimes it just means to indicate existence, something there is. So there were fruits, bhavimsu, third plural area. There were fruits, rukhesu, on the trees, uyane ropitesu, past participle here, that the trees in the park planted. So the trees that had been planted in the park. By whom? Kasakehi, instrumental plural, by the farmers. So by the farmers in the park. By the farmers in the park planted trees, there were fruit. Kasakehi uyane rupitesu rukhesu palani bhavingsu. Number 4. Buddha devehicha narehicha pujita hunti. Buddhas, pujita hunti, are worshipped. Again, the use of the past participle. Devehicha narehicha, instrumental plural in both cases, by gods and by human beings. Number 5. Udakena puritum pattang gehitva vanita geham agata huti. So agata huti, what's the difference between agami and agata huti? Agami emphasizes more the action of the agami, the aorist came. That emphasizes the fact of the coming, but agata hoti is come, literally. That emphasizes the status of having arrived. So the vanita, the woman, gehem agata hoti, has come to the house with what? Patam gehetva, literally having taken a bowl, just with a bowl. Udakena puritam, pura, full, pureti, verb to fill, purita, something that has been filled. So udakena puritam pattam, udakena, instrumental from udaka, water. So with water, filled bowl having taken, that's with a bowl that has been filled with water, the woman has come to the house. So udakena puritam pattam gehetva vanita geham agata hoti. Sentence 6. We've had the phrase dhammena several times, meaning righteously, according to the Dhamma, and you can negate it just by putting the a in front of it. Adhammena, so unrighteously. So I'll read it in Pali. Adhammena deepam palentena bhupalena pilita manusa kuddha hunti. So the manusa, the men, the people, kuddha hunti, are angry. Pilita, being oppressed or harassed. Pilita, pained, caused pain. By whom? Bhupalena, by the king. By the king who's doing what? Deepam palentena, That's the present participle by the king ruling the island. Palentena ruling, instrumental to agree with Bhupalena. So Deepam Palentena Bhupalena Pilita means oppressed by the king who is ruling the island. How is he ruling it? Adhamena, unrighteously. So Adhamena Deepam Palentena Bhupalena Pilita Manusa Kuddha Hunti. Number 7. Pakkam phalam tundena gehetva uddentam suvam aham apassim. So I see, passami, I saw, apassim. You don't have to put the aham, but you can. Aham apassim, I saw. I saw what? The suvam, a parrot. I saw the parrot flying. Uddentam suvam passim. So with gehetva, having taken or taking, you can translate the sentence simply, I saw a parrot flying with a ripe fruit in its beak. In Pali, you say, having taken a ripe fruit with its beak. So pakkam palam, a ripe fruit, tundena gehetva, literally having taken tundena with its beak, uddentam suvam aham apassim, I saw a flying parrot. So the whole sentence means, I saw a parrot flying who had taken a ripe fruit in its beak, or just who had a ripe fruit in its beak. So read again. Pakkam phalam tundena gehetva uddentam suvam aham apassim. Number 8. Udentu suryo brahmanena namasitu huti. So the udento, the literally upgoing, so the rising suryo, sun. Namasitu huti is worshipped brahmanena, by the Brahman. A note on this word namasito. We have the root nam, meaning to bend, and we can have a verb namami, namasi, namati, literally to bend, also means to worship or honor. From nam we have the noun, it's ending in an as, it's a consonantal stem as. And that means homage or a bow. From when we get the the well-known Indian greeting, namaste, a bow to thee, namaste. You can have namami, but namati, you can also make what's called a namadhatu, a noun root verb from a noun. So by adding yeti in Sanskrit, you can make a new verb, namasyati, with the yeti, namasyati. And in Pali, that becomes namasati. And in some of the standard chants that you'll hear in Thailand, Burma, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, these namasami and namami can be used interchangeably. In fact, there's one chant where in one line after the next, you have, for example, Dhammam namasami followed by Sangham namami. So they're used with no distinction of meaning, very close to each other in the same chant. So Udento Suryo, the rising sun, Brahmanena, by the Brahman, Namastitu Huti. And as we've just seen, the past participle of Namastati is Namasita. Number 9. Amaya Jalitam Deepam Adaya Putto Viharam Pavitto Huti. So the sun, Pavitto Huti, has entered, rather like in sentence 5 in this exercise, Agata Huti is come rather than came. Pavitto Huti has entered. You're emphasizing the status of that's where he is now, rather than the act of entering. Other would be pavisi. This pavitto pravish, the root of course is vish pravish, Sanskrit pravishati, Pali pavisati. To make entered, having entered in Sanskrit, you add the ta to the root. So pravi. What happens if you add a t after a sh? They both become retroflex. So it's not pravishta but pravishta. And that is what becomes in Pali pravitta, reflecting the Sanskrit pravishta. So pavitto hoti, viharam pavitto hoti, has entered the vihara. The putto viharam pavitto hoti. Now you see adaya, having taken, it here has exactly the same meaning as gehetva. Basically it means with, having taken what the deepam, having taken the lamp with a lamp. A maya jalitam deepam, a by the mother lit lamp having taken, so with a lamp lit by his mother. So, a maya jalitam deepamadaya putto viharam pavitto hoti. Number 10. Vanitaya dusena chadite asane samano nisiditva sanipatitaya parisaya dhammante sesi. So, the subject of the sentence is samano, the monk. And you can tell that because it's the only noun that ends in the nominative, masculine nominative singular, o samano. The verb, as usual, comes at the end. Deseti, he shows or he preaches. Desesi, aorist, he preached. What did he preach? Dhamman desesi, he preached the Dhamma. To whom? So we're looking for a genitive/dative. To whom or to what? Parisa means the assembly. So sannipatitaya parisa, which is the assembled company, the assembled audience, the sannipatita, flown down together, and parisa, assembly. This word parisa in Sanskrit parishad, from peri, around, which is the Greek peri as in perimeter, peri, and sad, sit, sitting around, perisad. The s becomes a sh because of the preceding e in the same word, so perishad. In fact, it's a feminine noun in Sanskrit, ending in d. This in Pali becomes parisa, and it declines like an ordinary feminine noun ending in a long a. So genitive/dative is sannipatitaya parisaya, to the assembled company. Dhammande sesi, preached the Dhamma. So where was he? He was on the asane, on the seat. So asane nisiditva, having sat down on the seat. What had been done to the seat? It was a chadite asane, on a covered seat, a seat that had been covered. Been covered with what? Dusa is cloth, dusena. So dusena chadite asane nisiditva, sitting down on the seat that had been covered with cloth. Covered by whom? Vanitaya, by the woman. So the monk sat on the seat that had been covered in cloth, covered with a cloth or in cloth by the woman, and preached the Dhamma to the assembled congregation or to the assembled company. I'll read again. Vanitaya dusena chadite asane samano nisiditva sannipatitaya parisaya dhamman desesi. Number 11. Kasakena kittam anita gona dinam kadanta ahindingsu. So the gona, that's the cattle or the oxen. Ahindingsu, third plural aorist, they wandered around doing what? Kadanta, from kadati, present participle kadanta. So they, and tinam, grass. So tinam kadanta ahindimsu, they wandered around, roamed around, eating grass. So which gona, which oxen? The oxen ketam anita. We've had this verbal root ni to lead. So ani is just to lead into somewhere, to lead towards, and the present passive participle is anita. So the ketam anita gona means the cattle that had been led into the field or brought to the field, kasakena, by the farmer. So by the farmer to the field led cows, grass eating, roamed around. So the oxen that had been led into the field by the farmer roamed about eating grass. Kasakena ketam anita gona tinang kadanta ahindingsu. Number 12, merchants did not sell clothes kept in boxes. So we've had, you can keep something in the boxes, it can be pakitam, manjusayam pakitam, kept in a box. You can also have tapita. We had that in the previous lesson. It would be stapita in Pali, literally caused to stand, caused to stay, or therefore just put or kept. It has the same meaning as this pakita that we saw earlier. So the vanija, the merchants, navikinimsu, did not sell the dusani, the cloths or clothes, manjusasu, locative plural of manjusa, tapitani, that had been kept in boxes. So vanija, manjusasu, tapitani dusani, navikinimsu. Number 13. Sachetvam satcham janayasi ma puttam akkosa. Sachetvam satcham janayasi. You know is janasi, the optative janayasi. So that means if you know. The idea is I don't know whether you know it or not, but on the hypothesis that you know, sache janayasi. So sachetvam satcham janayasi. If you know the truth, Ma puttam akkosa, do not scold your son. This is from the verb akkosati. You'll see it in an early part of one of the earliest verses of the Dhammapada. Akkosimam, he screamed at me, he shouted at me. And as usual, a negative imperative, we don't use the negating particle na, we use ma instead. So ma puttam akkosa. Do not scold your son, literally do not shout at your son. Number 14. Navaya nikanta nara samuddantaritva deepam papunitva bhadiyahi siddhim katenta mudanti. So Navaya nikanta nara, the people, or the men, nikanta Navaya. This actually is an ambiguous meaning here. If this were a masculine noun, nikanta, by boat or having left the boat. If it's the instrumental, then nikamati means you use that means to leave, left by boat. If you use the ablative, it means you leave the boat, you step out of the boat. And in the masculine singular, there will be no ambiguity because the ablative and the instrumental are different. For example, ratam, ratena nikantanara, the people who left by wagon, by vehicle, or ratamha nikantanara, the people who have stepped out of the wagon. So there's this ambiguity, which is there because of this feminine noun, navaya, nava, where the instrumental is the same as the ablative, navaya. So, navaya nikantanara, the people who had, let's say, left by boat, samudam taritva, having crossed the ocean, deepam papunitva, remember this deepa is an island, not a lamp, papunitva, literally having obtained, this is the idiomatic way of saying having reached the island, deepam papunitva, bhariyahi siddhim katenta mudanti, that these nara mudanti are happy, katenta mudanti, speaking, are happy speaking with their wives. Bhariyahi, instrumental plural, bhariyahi siddhim katenta mudanti. So, navaya nikantanara samuddantaritva deepam papunitva bhariyahi siddhim katenta mudanti. Number 15. Magge thite vanijassa sakate aham kanyaya anitani bhandasi tapesim. This tapesim as you've seen before, to stand, to cause to stand, or to put, is Sanskrit sthapayati, Pali tapeti, and the aorist I put is tapesim. So, Bhandani tapesim, I put the goods. Which goods? The kanyaya, instrumental, kanyaya anitani bhandani, the by the girl brought goods. I put the goods that had been brought by the girl. Where? Sakate, in the cart. whose cart? The Varnijassa Sakate, the merchant's cart, Magetite, that was standing on the road, just that was on the road. So literally the on the road stood, in the on the road stood merchant's cart, I by the girl brought goods placed. So I placed the goods brought by the girl in the merchant's cart that was standing on the road. Magetite Varnijassa Sakate Ahankanyaya Anitani Bandani Tapesim. Number 16. Dhammena ladhena dhanena putte pusitva jivanta manusa devatahi rakita hunti. So manusa, people, rakita hunti is the masculine, nominative masculine plural. Rakita, from rakati, to protect. Rakita hunti, they are protected. This is the past participle here. By whom? Instrumental plural. Devata singular. Devatahi, by the gods. So manusa devatahi rakita hunti, people are protected by the gods. Which people? People who putte positva jivanta, who jivanta, living, having brought up their sons, dhammena ladhena dhanena, with righteously obtained wealth. Means that those people who live bringing their children up with righteously obtained wealth, money, are protected by the gods. So dhammena ladhena dhanena, with dhammena, righteously, ladhena, obtained, dhanena, all in the instrumental, of course, money. Putte positva, so jivanta, living, putte positva, bringing up their children. Again, the absolutive is used here, but here it's accompanying, so they live doing something. They're accompanying actions, they're living and what they're doing while they're living. Manusa devataya kita hunti. So I'll read the sentence again. Dhammena ladhena dhanena putte positva jivanta manusa devatahi rakita hunti. Number 17. Savakehicha upasakehicha parivarito buddho diharasa chayaya nisinno hoti. Now if somebody sits down, nisidati, but nisinno hoti, he is seated. Like agachati, he comes. Agato hoti, he is come. Nisinno hoti, he is seated. So the Buddha nisinno hoti, the Buddha is seated or is sitting down. Where chayaya, it is the locative here, in the shade. It could also be chayayam. In Sanskrit it would be chayayam, Pali chayaya or chayayam. So viharasa chayaya, in the shade of the monastery. Parivarito, surrounded. This root vri, var, the primary meaning is to block or prevent something. It's the same origin as our English word weir, which is something that holds the water back in a river, holds the flow of water. So he's parivarito, so parivarito, like he's blocked around, he's surrounded, but here used in a good sense, parivarito, surrounded, savakehicha, upasakehicha. So he is surrounded by disciples and upasakas, the lay devotees. So, savakehicha, upasakehicha, parivarito, Parivarito, of course, the past participle, surrounded by, now the instrumental, here instrumental plural, savakehicha upasakehicha. So savakehicha upasakehicha parivarito buddho viharasa chayaya nisinno hoti. Number 18. Maya papehi nivarita putta sapurisa hutva dhammang sunanti. So the putta, the children, sapurisa hutva, from huti, to be or become, same as bhavati. This is hutva. You can also say bhutva, in Sanskrit bhutva, Pali becomes hutva, having been, or here, having become good people, the sons, putta, dhamman sunanti, here the dhamma. So, amaya papehi nivarita, papehi here as the force of is the ablative plural, same as the instrumental plural in form but not in meaning. So just as we have parivarito, surrounded, nivarito means turned away from, or rescued, or prevented. So papehi nivarita putta, the sons who have been protected, turned away from evil, by whom? Amaya, by their mother. So amaya, by the mother, papehi nivarita putta, from sins turned away sons, sapurisa hutva, having become good people, dhammang sunanti, hear the dhamma, listen to the dhamma. Amaya papehi nivarita putta, sapurisa hutva, dhammang sunanti. Number 19. Kassake pilenta chora panditena anusasita sapurisa bhavitum vayamanta upasakehi satyam uyane ruke rupenti. Right. So the subject of the sentence is the chora, thieves. Thieves who do what? Kassaki pilenta, pileti, to harass or torment. Kassake, accusative plural farmers. Kassaki pilenta chora, the thieves who the farmer tormenting thieves, the thieves who are tormenting farmers. Anusasita, now the past participle, anusasati is to advise, admonish, instruct, teach. Past participle, anusasito, so panditena anusasita, instructed or having been instructed by the pandit, by the wise man. Sapurisa bhavitum vayamanta, trying, so vayamati, vayamanto, plural vayamanta, attempting, trying. Remember, one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path is samma vayama, right effort. So vayamanta is making an effort. Sapurisa bhavitum, to be or to become good men. Sapurisa bhavitum vayamanta, making an effort to become good men. Are doing what? Rupenti, are planting ruke, trees. Where? Uyane, in the park. With whom? Upasakehi sadhim, with the upasakas, with the lay devotees. So kassake pirenta chora panditena anusasita sapurisa bhavitum vayamanta upasakehi sadhim uyane rukhe rupenti. Number 20. Vanita puttaya pratyaditamha bhattamha kudaya pilitassa yachakassa tokandatva parniyam cha dadi, or adasi. So Vanita, the woman, Dedi, Adasi, gave what? Tokam, a little, you say a little bit from something. So Bhattamha, Tokam, Adasi, gave a little of the food. Of which food? The Puttaya Pratyaditamha, that had been prepared, the for the sun prepared, from the for the sun prepared food a little gave. So Puttaya, that's the dative, for the sun, Pratyaditamha, Bhattamha, of the food that had been prepared, Tokam, a little gave. And who did this? The Vanita, the woman. So gave to whom? To the Yachakasa, to the beggar. So describe the beggar. Kudaya, instrumental, Pilitassa, so genitive dative, to the beggar, who was Pilita, who was tormented, Kudaya, Kuda hunger, Kudaya by hunger. So Vanita, the woman, Puttaya Pratyaditamha Bhattamha, out of the food that had been prepared for the sun, Kudaya Pilitassa Yachakassa, to the by hunger tormented beggar, Tokam, a little Tatva, gave, Paniyancha Dadi or Adasi, and gave water. Read again. Vanita Puttaya Pratyaditamha Bhattamha Kudaya Pilitassa Yachakassa Tokan Datva Paniyancha Dadi or Paniyancha Adasi. Number 21. Sabhayam Nisiditva Darikaya Gayatang Gitang Sutva Kanyayo Mudimsu. So the subject of the sentence is the Kanyayo, the girls. We've got Darika and Kanya here. Kanya suggests an older girl, Darika, kind of like a little girl, a child girl. So the Kanyayo Mudimsu, the girls were pleased, were delighted. Gitam Sutva, Gitam, the song, Sutva, having heard. The song, which song? The Darikaya Gayatam Gitam, the by the little girl sung song, or the song that was sung by the little girl. And in what circumstances did this happen? Sabhayam Nisiditva, having sat down in the assembly, the Sabha. Sabhayam could, as I mentioned earlier, equally be given as Sabhaya. In Sanskrit, it would be Sabhayam. It means an assembly. And we have in India the Lok Sabha. In Sanskrit, it would be pronounced Loka Sabha. In Hindi, Lok Sabha. All the languages of northern India, Lok Sabha. Literally the people's assembly. It's the Indian parliament. So Sabhayam Nisiditva, in the assembly having sat, Darikaya Gayadam Gitam Sutva, the by the little girl sung song having heard, Kanyayo Mudimsu, the older girls were pleased. Read again. Sabhayan Nisiditva, Darikaya Gayatam Gitam Sutva, Kanyayo Mudimsu. Number 22. Amachena nimantita purisa salayan nisidutum asakunta uyane sannipatinsu. Sannipatati, to assemble, they assembled, sannipatinsu, aorist form. They assembled where? Uyane, in the park. who did? The Purisa, the men, the people. Which people? Amachena nimantita. Amachena, by the minister. Nimantita, invited or summoned. So by the minister summoned men, or the men who had been summoned by the minister. Salayan nisiditum asakunta. Sakoti, he is able. Sakunto, able. Asakunto, unable. Plural asakunta. So nisiditum asakunta, unable to sit down. The place was full, there was no place for them. Salayam nisiditum asakunta, being unable to sit in the hall. Uyane sannipatinsu, congregated in the park. I'll read again. Amachena nimantita purisa, salayan nisiditum asakunta, uyane sannipatinsu. Number 23. Kasakehi ketesu vutehi bijehi tokam sakuna kadimsu. So here we have the word we encountered a few sentences ago, tokam, a little, and a little of something. In Pali you say a little from something. So you use the ablative. Here it's the bija, seed, bijam, bijehi, ablative plural, from the seeds. So bijehi tokam, some of, a few of, a little of the seeds. Which seeds? Vutehi, the seeds that had been sown. Vutta is sown. By whom? Kasakehi, by the farmers. Where? Ketesu, in the fields. And the sakuna kadimsu, the birds ate. So sakuna, the birds, kadimsu, ate. Tokam, a little. Bijehi, of the seeds. Vutehi, that had been planted. Kasakehi, by the farmers in the fields. Kasakehi ketesi vutehi bijehi tokam sakuna kadimsu. Number 24. Kumarehi rukamule niliyatva sayanto sappo ditto hoti. Ditto, seen, ditto hoti, has been seen, is seen, was seen. We have it in the Buddha's first victory song. Gahakaraka dittosi, house builder, ditto asi, dittosi, you are seen, you have been seen. And his sappo ditto hoti, the serpent has been seen. Which serpent? The sayanto sappo, the sleeping serpent, has been seen. By whom? Kumarehi, by the boys. And what had they just done? Rukamule niliyatva. So it refers here to it could actually refer to either. The key gives it the serpent who had hidden himself or hidden away at the foot of the tree. So Rukamule niliyatva sayanto sappo. So at the foot of a tree, hiding away, sleeping serpent. Ditto hoti, has been seen. Kumarehi, by the boys. So again, Kumarehi rukamule niliyatva sayanto sappo ditto hoti. Number 25. Vanijena deepamha ahatani vatani kinitum vanitayo ichanti. Translating the key as women like. Okay, normally regular meaning of ichanti is to want. Can also mean to like. So the vanitayo ichanti, women like to do what? Vatani kinitum, to buy the clothes. Which clothes? The Deepamha ahatani vatani, from the island brought clothes, brought by whom? Vanijena. So the Vanijena, by the merchant, Deepamha from the island, ahatani vatani, brought clothes, the clothes that have been brought. Kinitum, to buy, vanitayo ichanti, the women want or the women like. Vanijena Deepamha ahatani vatani kinitum vanitayo ichanti. Number 26. Sache bhupalo dhammena manuse rakheya te kamanikatva dharake posenta sukham vindeyum. Again, these absolutives here, the katva and there's just one, the katva. It doesn't have having done something, it means while doing something. They would live in that condition. So, Sachibhu Palo, if the king, Rakheya, were to protect Manuse, accusative plural people, Tamena, righteously, then te, they, Kamani Katva, literally doing deeds, that's doing their work, Darake Posenta, bringing up their children, Sukham Vindeyum, optative, the plural, would experience or would find happiness. So, if Sachib Bhupalo, if the king, the Mena Muserakaya, were to, or just if he protects the people according to the Dhamma righteously, they, Kamanikatva, Darake Posenta, Sukham Vindeyum, they Sukham Vindeyum would find happiness, Kamanikatva, in doing their work, Darake Posenta, and in bringing up their children. You see here that they find happiness in doing something. In Pali, you can use either the ablative, so the absolutive, I meant to say, the absolutive, Kamanikatva, as accompanying action, also as a cause for it. And Darake Posenta, this is the present participle, you've got the ablative, absolutive, followed by the present participle, with in the same meaning. So, Sache Bhupalo Dhammena Manusera Kaya Te Kamanikatva Darake Posenta Sukham Vindeyum. Number 27. Puttena Yachita Amma Mittanam Odanam Patyadesi. So, the Amma, the mother, Patyadiyati, prepares, Patyadesi, aorist, prepared, Udanam, a meal, Mittanam, for the friends, genitive, dative, plural, Mittanam. And why did she do it? Puttena Yachita. So Yachati, we've had Yachaka is a beggar, so one who asks. So Yachita means asked or requested, feminine here because it's the mother, and Puttena, by the son. So Puttena Yachita Amma, literally the by the son asked mother. Mittanam Odanam Patyadesi, prepared a meal for the friends. And obviously for the son's friends, because Puttena Yachita, she'd been asked by the son. Number 28. Amachena Puttam Panham Adigantum Asakunto Choranam Duto Shintetam Arabhi. So did I say Arabhi? Arabhi. Arabhati, to start. Arabhi, started. So, who the Choranam Duto, Duta is a messenger. Deva Duta, a messenger of the gods. There's the famous poem by Kalidasa, the Megha Duta, the cloud messengers, a cloud that carries messages of love. So Duta, here's the Choranam Duto, the messenger of the thieves, Chintetum arabhi, started to think. Why did he start to think? Because he asakonto, we just had that, being unable, adhigantum, to understand the panyam, the question, amachena puttam, asked by the minister. So the this puttam, in Sanskrit, prich is to ask, and it makes its past participle in prishta, asked. And this then becomes in Pali, putta. Obviously not to be confused with putta, meaning a son. There's putta, asked. So the amachena, by the minister, the amachena puttam panyam, the by the minister asked question, adigantum asakonto, to understand unable, choranam duto, of the thieves, the messenger of the thieves, chintetum arabi started to think. So, amachena puttam panyam adigantum asakonto, choranam duto chintetum arabi. Number 29. Churehi guhayam niliyitani bandani pasitva vanara tani adaya rukhe aruhimsu. So aruhati, to climb, aruhimsu, aorist plural, they climbed. They climbed what? Rukhe, the trees. Having taken adaya, having taken tani, having taken them. So the niliyatani, caused to lie or hidden away. We had this nilitva earlier, the snake that had hidden away. So this niliyatani bandani, goods that had been hidden away. By whom? Chorehi, by the thieves. Guhayam, in the cave. Pasitva, having seen. So having seen the goods hidden away in a cave by the thieves, how we'd put in English, part of the other baron, by the thieves in the cave, hidden goods having seen. Vanaratani adaya rukhe aruhimsu. You could leave out the tani without affecting the meaning, just vanara adaya rukhe aruhimsu. The monkeys took them, or the monkeys having taken them, rukhe aruhimsu. So again, chorehi guhayan niliyatani bandani pasitva vanara tani adaya rukhe aruhimsu. And number 30. Aham paryesitam dhamman adhigantva mudami. So adhigachati, we've had this a little earlier, a few sentences back. It means to understand. The meaning of adhi, it's actually cognate with the Latin ad, towards, and the English word at. So to go towards something, to go at something, is one way of saying to understand it. In English, we understand, stand under it. In Pali and in Sanskrit, you go up to it, you've got it, go up to it, understand it. So, adhigantva, having understood or having realized, dhammam adhigantva, having understood or having realized the Dhamma, the doctrine. Which doctrine? The paryesitam dhammam, the sought for, the paryesami, I seek, paryesati, he seeks, paryesito dhammo, the sought for dhamma, the sought for teaching. Now in the accusative, having understood the sought for teaching, paryesitam dhammam adhigantva mudami, I rejoice, I am happy. I'll read again. Aham paryesitam dhammam adhigantva mudami. That concludes the Pali 2 English for lesson 19.